Hey everyone, this is Bridget, and today we're going to be talking about the waves of awakening. So the different energies, the different things you might be experiencing at various stages of your spiritual awakening journey, which includes ascension symptoms and different things that we can do to make the whole thing so much more fluid and easy, and also to see where we're at so that we're not, say, comparing ourselves to other people or just really taking in the journey. So let's get into it. So at the very beginning, many of you have probably already had your spiritual awakening, as everyone calls it. And in this phase, it's this paradigm shifting moment. It can be something that's very spontaneous and just happens, or it can be something that happens maybe over a few days, weeks, or months. This paradigm shifting experience where you psychologically are just blown. You just understand what's going on with the matrix. You have a new awareness of the world, and you probably experience some kind of energetic shift in your body or in your capacity to communicate with, say, higher realms or some kind of contact experience. So something in that capacity, which we are calling in this community the spiritual awakening. Now, this is just the first thing, okay? This is just like, okay, we just cracked open the door, but there is so much more, and there's so much more for us to experience, and understanding that it's not just like, all right, I have my awakening, I'm good to go, is actually really, really helpful as I get into some of the things that go with this process, because then we can continue to know that we're on a constant path of growth and expansion. We haven't already arrived, and so in this space there can be a lot of learning. So this initial opening creates a vast and accelerative expansion, right? It's just like you're all of a sudden on like the freeway or that fast track in Mario Kart, like I like to talk about all the time, and you're just going. And this might look like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm having like contacts with guides, or like feeling other energies, like my empathy is opened up. Maybe you have some kind of kundalini experience, maybe your third eye opens. I mean, it's just kind of like, wow, like everything might happen at once on various levels. Maybe you get some kind of level of purging or sickness, to where then it opens up your physical body, or you know that your life is no longer working and you have to make drastic shifts to become and to align with that person that you now are. So in this energy, you might be having increased synchronicities, the whole 11:11 thing, more contact experiences. So all of this is happening because this blowing off of the top of your initial awakening is an accelerative energy. You've hit a new octave of frequency, and so in that you're all of a sudden like at a higher space where you can perceive more. And so it's always kind of been there, but you just hadn't had the capacities, or it hadn't been that time yet to really experience it. So all of a sudden you're at this new octave experiencing all these different things, especially in the energetic realm. And then when you get to this space and it's just like, blah, and like different perceptions and this desire to learn and explore all these things, these maybe hidden things that you're finding on the internet, all this kind of stuff. So then once you get to this space, many of these frequencies are we're talking about the energetic stuff that's happening, and also the psychological stuff that's happening. Now, what needs to happen after this of energy is it needs to come down and start to manifest into your physical body, into the physical reality around you, into your everyday life, because that's what this whole thing is for, to bring heaven on earth and to bring it into the physical. And so all of a sudden what starts to happen is some level of integration. Now this might look like a few different things for you. It might look like the physical integration being that these experiences maybe diminish and there's not as much because you've integrated it. It might not be as exotic or exciting because it's something that becomes more normal, and it's something that you've taken in as truth rather than it just being like, whoa, and being mind blown. So it might be something in that capacity that just starts to feel resonant and in flow with your daily life. And then also it can be this necessity to change again, in the physical reality. So this might be in your relationships, this might be your diet, this might be feeling a real clarity around your mission and purpose and what you're meant to do on earth, which might mean shifting jobs or going towards new excitement. So there's these paradigm shifting things that then start to happen in your life as you integrate and bring this energy in, because you can no longer be that other person that you are. You're entirely different. So this is where ascension symptoms come in. I have maybe a different perspective from other people, but I just want to share that because I think that it's going to be helpful to clarify and really get the most out of this process and this journey. So I categorize ascension symptoms into two particular categories for this conversation. So one of the first reasons for the ascension symptoms is because of new energy, new waves of frequency coming into the planet, and also you then opening to those frequencies and that experience. So it's actually a real occurrence of the energy actually amplifying, say with solar flares or certain eclipses, certain portals, stargate openings that then actually have an expansive energy that then activates certain aspects of your genetics and accelerates your frequency. So these are real phenomenon actually happening. And in this space, it's important to realize that not every alignment, right? Not every full moon or new moon or eclipse or this is going to have an energy that maybe affects you. We have to figure out what really moves us and what accelerates our own energy and start to get into rhythm with what does that for us. And some of these alignments can lead to certain kundalini awakenings, whether that's from the base of the spine. It can lead to energy coming in through the top of the head, which can lead to headaches, energy into the heart, which can lead to fatigue and headaches and a lot of these common ascension symptoms. And so these are real occurrences, and I have experienced these. And for me particularly, as I've gotten to know my own energy and how that interacts with the acceleration of the energy on the planet, for me, eclipses are really my accelerative portals. Certain other alignments, I might not really feel much. Or say solstices and equinoxes, I feel openness and I feel an expanded higher frequency of energy, but it isn't something that's like, all right, let's take you to the next level like eclipses do for me. So it's really important to start noticing what you feel in these particular waves of energy, because it's not the same for everyone. And there's a lot of energy updates and stuff like that, and take those in and then say like, what do I really feel from this? And then you can begin to just understand your energy more, which is really, really helpful. And the more that you do your energetic work and you look at stuff, which we'll talk about in a minute, the more that you can receive these downloads and receive these energies. You might be where you don't feel anything on these days, and that might mean that you need to dig in there a bit more to create room in your vessel to go through these expansive energies and let that light up your being. Now, the other reason, number two, for the ascension symptoms, which you might not like to hear, but I'm real talk here, and we're going to be honest, it's because of resistance. So many of us, including myself and other people, we have resistance to change, right? And this can cause friction, this can cause turmoil, conflict, dis-ease, like all these kinds of energies, because we have expanded to this new level of energy, which means that it is shining a light on more aspects of our own internal space, which means that for energies to continue to flow in harmony, we need to look at those spaces. And it can be uncomfortable and not very fun. And when energies aren't allowed to flow in accordance with the natural rhythm of your energy and the alignments, then it causes blockages, right? Where energy can't flow. And then this causes issues. And so one of the things, for instance, as an example, is that often, many times throughout my awakening journey, I've gotten headaches when certain really big alignments happen, because a lot of energy comes down into my head, and then I'm like, oh, I have this headache, and which is known as Shakti fever, right, in the East. And what that is the energy is stuck in your head because you aren't bringing it down into your body. So some of these things, they're not just like, oh, I have a headache, or I have like the stomach ache, or I have fatigue, just like sleep it off. It actually is going to require us to do the physical and energetic work to let the energy channels flow. And this might be an energetic thing, and this also might be looking more at our stuff. So it's like, okay, say like the energy isn't flowing, Kundalini isn't rising, and it hits this block. The block isn't just to necessarily sit and do the energy work, it's also to see what beliefs and what maybe blocks we have in our own like life. So it might not seem associated because it's not energetic, but it's all energy. And so looking at some things like relationships that aren't working for you, or like a job that isn't working for you, and actually moving into your passion, that actually creates energetic alignment in your body so the energy can flow, which means that we're not going to have as many of these symptoms, right? Because we're in flow. And so when we're in flow, we're riding the wave rather than getting like bombarded and crashed by the waves, right? We're learning how to surf. And so it's really important because things are just ramping up and energies are moving, and we have to be more grounded and aligned and in flow than ever before. And so in this space, we got to do this personal work. And I'm going to do a whole video on personal work because it's like, what does that actually mean? And I thought about that as I was creating this video. I'm like, does anyone know what actually like doing your work means? And so like going into that I think would be helpful. So I'm going to do that coming up soon. So it's this idea of really courageously being able to look and pursue your shit and really dive into it. And it might seem super mundane and so annoying or irritating or triggering or those kinds of energies, and those are precisely where profound energies of further awakening and harmony exist, is in that space. It might not be contact or my guide communicated with me, but it is so profound, and the more that we go into it, the better we get at it. So it's going to be really, really helpful. So one of the reasons why the ascension symptoms happen is because we're in resistance to shifting our energy and our beliefs so that we can be more in accordance with the energy of expansion. So another thing to notice along this journey is that not every physical manifestation is because of these accelerating energies. They can also be because we're in a physical body in the world, and it's really important to begin to discern those two things, because one of the things that can happen is someone, as an extreme example, could have cancer and be like, this is just an ascension symptom, and it's like that's irrational. And yeah, okay, well, we can look at it through that lens where that is an ascension symptom of you not looking at your stuff, which then has manifested from the energy all the way into the physical body and is having those repercussions. So we can see here that it's really important to then look at physically, like I just might, be allergic to that thing. And so I'm having inflammation and I have a stomach ache, or it's making me have a headache. It's really important to just kind of honestly look at what is happening maybe with our bodies, with our minds, and stress, right? It might just be that we're stressed out because of a job or relationship that we haven't figured out how to be in harmony with yet, or we need to shift, and then all of a sudden it's creating like these headaches and stuff. Or we might be in like vast like EMF fields, like showering in shit water, and it's like, okay, well, so we have to look at those things too, and that's really important to begin to discern those two things. And that is a part of this awakening, is to be able to distinguish like what is what. Like, is that energy because of an alignment of acceleration, or is that just because I had like a really crappy bag of potato chips, right? And it's important, and actually, honestly, it makes things kind of less serious and a little bit more playful, because some of this can be like so intense, and it's like, oh my God, the energies, and it's like, okay, let's just chill out here for a second and ground in and anchor in and be in our bodies and be in flow in our everyday lives, and we'll be able to navigate these energies with much more fluidity and grace, so we are surfers of this awakening. And in this space too, one of the things that happened, just to close out, is that over this span, we integrate these energies, as I said before, and so we might not be having like profound, crazy experiences like we did at the beginning, and that's okay. And what that's actually doing is ushering us into the subtlety, into the refinement and the gratitude surrounding that which is very subtle, is the best way that I can put it, which has as much profundity as something mind-blowing, it's honestly just as profound, because it has it just has a different nature. It might be more like delicate or rich or deep, and that has just as much significance. And so that's really important to remember too. And I've gotten down on myself, like over the years, where it's just like, hello, like, anyone out there? And I'm just not having as many experiences with guides or ETs and stuff like that. And that's A-okay, like, that's totally fine. And what that's asking us to do is to go deeper into having spiritual practices. That's why I did the video on meditation, which I'll link here. I really recommend watching, because we have to do and cultivate these things, because the initial awakening was something that just, it just kind of happens, right? It's like, okay, the timer goes off, and like we have like this, kind of genetic shifting awakening, and then we're like, oh wow. And then later in the journey, it really takes discipline and dedication to go to these deeper states. It's like, do you really want it? Like, do you really want it? Like, are you really ready for this? And it's asking us to meet it halfway, like our higher selves halfway, which is really, really special, to be honest, because if these things just kept happening, and we're like, oh my God, we wouldn't actually develop this fortitude and this depth, and again, like this discipline to continue forward with humility and with dedication and with discipline, which is a whole other energy. So it becomes this kind of like rich, aged wine or something that has a different quality to it. So that's important to remember along the journey too, so that you don't be like, well, why isn't it happening? And then people often in that space, they're like, I haven't had any experiences. And so then they just like go do mass amounts of like psychedelics, and it will open you back up. But to get there on your own, the next step is discipline and dedication. Yeah, I know that it might sound sucky, or like, dang it, it's so much easier just to drink the medicine. But it is a requirement for us to become really, really, really developed and truly awakened, because there's this initial awakening, this spontaneous opening, and then after there's so many other levels and stages to actually truly become like ascended and awakened, and also a just freaking really good human being that's balanced and expressed and of service to earth. Like, that's really, to me, what it's about. And so just keeping all of that in mind, it's a really fun journey, and it's really fun, and I hope that this has been helpful for you. I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. This is some of what I've experienced along the way, and watching, thousands of people and their experiences, I can see that there's these certain trajectories of how this works, and it might not work this way for you, and that's great too. And so you don't have to listen to me of like how it's gonna go. That's the most important thing, is to really start listening to yourself and see what is in alignment with you. So I really appreciate you watching. Comment below to let me know what stage you are in your journey, because we're all on this together. We're like surfing on one like giant surfboard. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, hit the bell button so you get notifications every time I do new videos. I say that because it helps the algorithm so that more videos like this can actually make it bigger on YouTube. So it's very important and very helpful, and I'm really grateful for that. As well as check me out on Instagram, because I do daily updates on Instagram story, which is really fun. And I will see you soon. Bye!